Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. One of our great sponsors is the American Legislative Exchange Council, alec.org/Hugh, if you want the weekly State of the State newsletter. Their chief economist and president is my pal, Jonathan Williams, who I'll see down in Texas in December. Jonathan, Jack Chitterelli was my guest earlier this program. It just so happens you want to talk New Jersey today, and I'm glad to. Let me give you the setup. I asked Jack, I hear issue number one is property tax, number two is property tax, number three is property tax. He said one and two is right, but number three is the cost of energy. Boy, does New Jersey have a tale of woe to tell. Tell us about it.
Well, they sure do. And being up there yesterday, I can tell you, people are fed up about New Jersey and the way that they're going, right? When you look at their rank number 48 in economic outlook in our latest Rich States, Poor States report, some of the highest taxes, some of the most egregious regulations, worst policies across the board. And under Governor Phil Murphy, they've doubled down on the failure. They've raised taxes, they've raised spending even during the pandemic. And the thing that really has caught me by surprise, Hugh, is most of the country, the first thing they do is see what California does, and they do exactly the opposite and run as quickly in that direction as they can from doing the opposite of California. You actually have a governor in Phil Murphy there who says he wanted to become California East. Think about that for a second. And so should we be surprised when New Jersey now has lost more than 500,000 residents on net over the last 10 years because of this tax and spend formula. So I think people are looking for alternatives and doing something a little bit differently. I mean, the first step when you're a hole is stop digging it deeper. And I think that's exactly what they're looking to do, to address property taxes and begin to turn New Jersey around again.
If you're there and you can't avoid property taxes, and I got the stats you sent me, their top marginal personal income tax rate is 11.75%, 47th in the nation. Their top marginal corporate income tax rate is 9%, which is 43rd in the nation. And their property tax burden is 48th in the nation. I don't know how a Democrat is even competitive in that race.
Well, right, exactly. And the strange thing about this all, Hugh, is that it wasn't that many decades ago, and New Jersey was a very prosperous place. In fact, you go back to the 1960s, New Jersey didn't have an income tax or a sales tax. Think about that for a second. They were New Hampshire in the 1960s, and then to deal with property taxes, they adopted income taxes and sales taxes. But the thing they forgot to do, Hugh, and we talked about this last week, is they forgot to stop the overspending by cities and counties that just have a new need for every last taxpayer dollar that's out there. And guess what? They could not ever control property taxes, even now with some of the very highest business and individual income taxes. I mean, it's a cautionary tale for the rest of America. But I think Jack Chitterelli, and I was with a lot of members of the Assembly and the Senate yesterday, they've got some great ideas to turn the state around.
Now, he came very close 4 years ago, surprisingly so. Now he's on everyone's radar. Will those 500,000 people who had the good sense to leave, will that hurt him or help him?
That's a good question of who they were. A lot of people were leaving for the tax reasons, and but guess what? There's a new coalition developed, right? Because of Donald Trump's breakthrough. Donald Trump came within 5 points. Jack came closer than that 4 years ago. But even you start to see up in North Jersey some of these Democrat local officials and machine politicos. I think that may be seeing the writing on the wall to say that New Jersey has to do something differently. So we'll see. It may shatter expectations when we get to November.
He was running through the Democrats who have endorsed him, and the energy costs are pretty stunning. I do want to move to the briefing that you gave the White House. You and ALEC generally gave the White House on the government shutdown. What did you tell them? Because I think the Democrats are getting killed on this.
Well, we had a huge turnout of ALEC members where we heard from the White House today, Hugh, and they talked about what's the latest state of play up there. A lot of good questions from our ALEC members just as to how this government shutdown that's being pursued by Chuck Schumer and is really affecting states and, the budget shortfalls that it's going to create, the hardship that it's going to create around FAA and airports, as we're already starting to see, even here at Ronald Reagan Airport in Washington, D.C. And And then, of course, just I think the horrible issue around military pay, that if we get into next week, I do think that the pressure is going to mount to say, we want a government that functions. We want it to be open, and we have a nonpartisan, clean CR that's been passed by the House that Leader Thune brought to the Senate, couldn't get the 60 votes because of Chuck Schumer and a few of his progressive holdouts that wouldn't go for it. I mean, Democrat votes on both sides of the houses up there to keep the government open with the clean CR, something they voted for many, many times before. So I think we've got a situation of common sense, keeping the government open with the clean CR versus a radical left agenda for the future.
Yeah, I had Ro Khanna on, and the transcript is posted. Even he came around to the point. They voted for this so many times, they're going to get slaughtered. Jonathan Williams, you can find him on X at Tax Economist. You can go to ALEC, ALEC.org, and add my name, /U, ALEC.org/U, and get smart about what the states are doing with the American Legislative Exchange Council every single week. Thank you, Jonathan. Coming right back, America. Stay tuned.